The software I used to edit this promotional video was Final Cut Pro, as this was the software that was already built into the Mac and meant we didn't need to cut into the budget at all, which cut us back on unnecessary costs. Certain advantages I found with Final Cut Pro were the wide range of effects it had to offer. From simple dissolves to exploding hearts or stars, it had a wide selection that was easy to pick from. And when I was researching on what software to use, I found that Final Cut Pro offered more type of transitions between sequences than any other video editing program available. I've also used it in my fair share of attending college, so I knew how everything worked, which allowed me to work a lot quicker than some of the other members of my team. It also allowed me to help them and answer any of their queries when they wanted to do something but didn't know how to. Another advantage I found with the Final Cut Pro was the quickness and easiness on importing files. All of our footage and sound could be uploaded with a couple of clicks and kept on a timeline, so when we were putting together our footage, it allowed us to keep it all in one place so we didn't have to keep importing individual files over and over again. I also found an advantage of Final Cut Pro was being able to trim and cut our footage down if it ran over, or take bits out that weren't necessary without having to abandon the full clip. The only downside I found with this software is that when you get a lot of footage together, it sometimes lags and starts to freeze, but when imported into a master file, it stopped doing this. I didn't find this as big of an issue, so it didn't cause me any problems. Another potential option we looked at was using Movie Maker, but as we opted not to go for it to stop spending extra costs on the software, in which it could have taken a lot of time up. When exporting files, we saved them to the Mac as a master file, which we then kept into our documents and uploaded to YouTube. It was important to do this in order to get our video into a format that would be suitable for YouTube and not take us long to upload, as the master file compresses everything down. This makes it easier to share on social media and other sites. This was done by going to File, then down to Sharing, which gave us the option of the master file, so it wasn't too complicated to do. This saved us a lot of time and allowed us to upload drafts leading to the final edit. I also found that when we were exporting files, it gave us the option of what quality we wanted it to be in. We obviously chose the highest to make our video look as professional as possible. In terms of files we used for the moving image product, when we wanted sound, we used YouTube. YouTube is in the format of MP4, so we used a YouTube converter to make it into an MP3. After this, we then imported it into our files. Again with the video footage, because we shot on a camera, the format of the clips was already an MP4, so we didn't have to change any of this. It was extremely important for me from the start to access the use of transitions, as without them the video would appear dull and drag on, and therefore audiences wouldn't want to consume it, which would mean we would have failed the needs of the brief. We use quick cuts to establish the constantly changing location and the fast-moving everyday life that surrounds Hull. This was done in order to make Hull look busy and full of life, in order to attract the audiences to want to come visit us. We also used the overlaying of footage on top of each other and had the whole City of Culture logo overlaid on top of the footage, which ended up being a mistake but looked effective overall, so we chose to keep it in. This then meant we could show the running use of the logo throughout and create more of a brand for what we was trying to do. We also used a selection of fades to make it look like it was fading out of one place into another. Again, this made it look a lot more smoother rather than a straight up cut, and I found by adding fades it broke everything up into one and didn't make it look as big of a chunk. We carried this out until the end along with overlaying the text over the footage, which naturally went out with the faded out edits and again broke it up to not look so montagey. We also sped up and slowed down some of the footage, example being the firework part, which we sped up along with Hull Fair in order to over-exaggerate the busyness of it and how the actual experience is through video. In terms of conventions, it was important to make the video feel like an advertisement rather than a montage edit, which is why we had quotes and text throughout of Hull's past and positive things said about Hull. The video also starts with the City of Culture logo, showing we followed a brand, and then ends with the same logo and webpage details. This shows we followed a specific pattern. We also used as many locations as possible, which is typical of an advertisement, in order to show the place off and sell it to the audience. We also used a range of effects and speeds of footage in order to make it feel like a body of clips rather than random clips stuck together. We also used music over the top of all the footage, which played to the beat of the song. This made it feel more conventional to an advert, as without sound or any sort of voiceover, it wouldn't be as interesting or gather the audience's attention for the full 90 seconds and would come off as quite boring. Overall, I liked the overall aesthetic of our product. I think that even though it's a series of different clips, I feel like they all complement one another really well, and everything links together rather than something looking out of place. I believe it's what's made the product look realistic and allows the viewing of the video to look very sleek and smooth. I also like the way the music beat goes with every clip, as even though we placed the music over the top, it feels like it was already there, and we didn't add anything, which again adds to the dynamic of how everything flows together. I also like the lighting in all the shots, as I feel again they link together, and we haven't got one dark shot with a light shot, so everything looks more smooth. If I was to do this again, I'd probably change some of the text font, as it looked a little basic and maybe a little bit cheap. But this was definitely needed in order to break everything down and not make it look so much like a montage. I'd also maybe add some different shot types to break things up, as we had a lot of medium close-ups. I'd maybe try space it out more, so have a long shot then an extreme close-up to make things look more dramatic, which would therefore look more visualising.